Han Wu pressed his face against the transport window, watching as the Stellar Conservation Center grew larger in the darkness of space. The facility was enormous, a spinning wheel of metal and glass that housed creatures from across the galaxy. Lights flickered in thousands of windows, and he could see the massive domed habitats that jutted out from the main structure like bubbles. This was going to be his home for the next 6 months. The transport docked with a soft thud. Han Wu grabbed his single bag and floated through the airlock. Gravity returned gradually as he entered the main corridor, and his stomach settled. A 4-armed insectoid alien stood waiting for him. Its chitinous body gleamed under the bright lights, and its compound eyes studied him with an intensity that made Han Wu want to step back. "Human intern Han Wu?" the alien asked in perfectly translated Korean through his ear device. "Yes, sir. That's me. I am Director Velther. Welcome to the Stellar Conservation Center. Follow me." They walked through corridors filled with aliens of every shape and size. Some had scales, others had fur, and some seemed to be made of liquid held together by force fields. None of them were human. Han Wu was alone here, thousands of light years from Earth. The thought made his chest tight, but he pushed the feeling away. Dr. Minji had worked hard to get him this opportunity. He couldn't waste it being homesick on his first day. Director Velther led him to a large window overlooking one of the habitats. Inside, a creature the size of a building moved slowly through a purple forest. Its skin rippled with colors Han Wu had no names for. "That is a gentle giant from Proxima 7, Velther explained. "It eats only plants, but one step from its foot could crush a small spacecraft. We handle it with extreme caution." "It's beautiful," Han Wu said. Velther's antennae twitched in what might have been surprise. "Beautiful? It is dangerous. All creatures here are dangerous. That is why we maintain strict protocols. You will learn these protocols. You will follow these protocols. Deviation results in termination of your internship or termination of your life. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." They continued the tour. Each habitat held creatures that made Han Wu's breath catch. A flying predator with crystal wings. A swimming beast that could apparently eat starship hulls. A tiny fuzzy thing that secreted acid strong enough to melt through steel. Every single animal was kept behind multiple layers of force fields and barriers. Robot handlers did all the feeding and cleaning. No one ever went inside the habitats. Then they reached the final section. The corridor here was different. Red lights flashed along the walls. Armed security drones hovered near the ceiling. A massive blast door blocked the way forward, covered in warning symbols that Han Wu's translator couldn't quite process. They just made his brain hurt to look at. "Beyond this door," Velther said quietly, "lives the Krathgur." Han Wu had heard stories about the Krathgur during his training on Earth. Dr. Minji had shown him the reports, though most of the details were classified. A predator from a death world even more hostile than Earth, the apex hunter of a planet where everything evolved to kill. The Stellar Conservation Center had acquired it 5 years ago. The last of its species after its homeworld was destroyed by a meteor strike. 3 handlers have died attempting to care for it, Velther continued. We have learned to maintain the habitat using only drones and force field manipulation. The Krathgur is never sedated, never handled, never approached. It is our most prized specimen and our greatest danger. You will not go near this section. You will not even think about this section. Am I clear? Crystal clear, sir. Velther's mandibles clicked together. Good. Your assigned duties are in the herbivore wing. Safe creatures. Simple tasks? You will report to Supervisor Deho tomorrow at the start of the cycle. The director left him at his assigned quarters, a small room with a bed, desk, and a window looking out at the stars. Han Wu sat on the bed and pulled out his communication device. A message from Dr. Minji was waiting. Han Wu, you made it. I'm so proud of you. Remember everything I taught you? Watch the animals. Learn their body language. Most importantly, stay safe. These aliens have different ways of handling creatures. Their protocols exist for a reason. Be respectful, but also trust your instincts. You grew up on a farm. You know animals. That knowledge is valuable. Good luck. Henwu smiled and sent back a quick reply before trying to sleep. Tomorrow would be his first real day. The herbivore wing was less impressive than he expected. Deho, a reptilian alien with green scales and a long tail, showed him around. The creatures here were small and timid. They ate processed food pellets and barely moved. Robot arms cleaned their habitats twice a day. Your job is simple, Deho explained. Monitor the feeding schedules. Check the health readouts. Report any anomalies. Do not enter the habitats. Do not touch the animals. Do not deviate from protocol. What if one of them seems sick? Haiyan-Wu asked. The medical scanners will detect illness. You are not qualified to make such assessments. It was boring work, and Haiyan-Wu found himself feeling sorry for the animals. They lived in clean, safe environments, but something was missing. There was no enrichment, no variety, no interaction. They were alive, but they weren't really living. On his third day, something happened that changed everything. A small creature called a pimpernel escaped its habitat during a feeding cycle. The robot arm had malfunctioned, leaving the force field open for just a moment. The pimpernel, no bigger than a cat, darted out into the corridor. It had orange fur and tiny horns, and its teeth were bared in fear or aggression. Deho immediately hit the alarm. Dangerous creature loose. Evacuate the section. Haiyan-Wu looked at the small animal. It was trembling, pressed against the wall, making high-pitched sounds of distress. Dangerous? It looked terrified. Wait, Haiyan-Wu said. Let me try something. Do not approach it. Pimpernels are classified as aggressive, but Haiyan-Wu was already moving. He knelt down slowly, making himself smaller. He extended his hand, palm up, and made soft clicking sounds with his tongue. The pimpernel watched him with wide eyes. It hissed and lunged forward, snapping at his fingers. Haiyan-Wu didn't pull away. He stayed calm, keeping his hand steady. The pimpernel bit down but didn't break the skin. Just a warning. Just fear. It's okay, Haiyan-Wu whispered in Korean. You're scared. I know. It's okay? The creature's grip loosened. It sniffed his hand. Then slowly it climbed into his palm, still shaking. Haiyan-Wu carefully stood and walked it back to its habitat, placing it gently inside before the force field reactivated. Deho stared at him with an expression Haiyan-Wu couldn't read. That creature should have attacked you. Pimpernels are known for their aggression. How did you do that? Haiyan-Wu shrugged. I don't know. I just treated it like a scared animal. Because that's what it was. Word spread quickly through the facility. The human intern who had handled an aggressive pimpernel with his bare hands. Haiyan-Wu didn't think it was a big deal, but the other staff looked at him differently now. Some with respect, some with suspicion, and some, like the security chief Jiwan, with open distrust. Humans are from a death world, Jiwan said one day, studying Haiyan-Wu like he was a specimen himself. Perhaps you have no sense of proper fear. Maybe that was true. Haiyan-Wu had grown up bottle-feeding orphan lambs and helping. His grandmother trained rescue dogs that other people said were too aggressive to save. To him, animals were just animals. They had needs and fears and desires. If you understood those things, you could work with almost anything. He wondered what the Krathker was really like. Beyond the horror stories and the death reports. Beneath the classification of most dangerous creature in the facility, was it really a monster, or was it just another scared, misunderstood animal living in a cage? Haiyan-Wu pushed the thought away. He had strict orders to stay away from that section, and he would follow those orders for now. 3 weeks passed in the herbivore wing. Haiyan-Wu fell into a routine. Wake up, check the feeding schedules, monitor the health readings, watch the robots do all the actual work. It was safe and boring and nothing like what he had imagined when he applied for this internship. He spent his free time studying the facility's database, reading about the different creatures housed in the other wings. The Stellar Conservation Center held over 3,000 species from across the galaxy. Some were endangered. Some were extinct in the wild. And some, like the Krathker, were the last of their kind. The database had very little information about the Krathker. Most of it was classified. What he could read painted a picture of a nightmare. 6 legs, armored plating that could resist plasma fire, venomous spines, intelligence that bordered on sapient. A perfect predator from a world where only perfect predators survived. Hyunwoo tried to find videos of it, but those were restricted too. He did find the incident reports from the 3 handler deaths. The details were clinical and cold. Handler 1 had attempted to sedate the creature with a tranquilizer dart. The Krathker had moved faster than the cameras could track. Handler 2 had used electric prods to try to force it into a smaller containment area. The prods had only made it angry. Handler 3 had believed they could control it with sonic weapons. They were wrong. After each death, the protocols became stricter. Now, nobody went near the Krathker at all. It lived alone in its habitat, fed by automated systems, with no contact except the cold presence of machines. Hyunwoo felt sad thinking about it. What kind of life was that, even for a dangerous predator? On his 22nd day at the facility, he was running a routine diagnostic on the feeding systems when the lights flickered. It was just for a second, but it was enough to make him look up. The lights flickered again. Then the alarms started, not the small alarms for minor issues. The big ones. The ones that meant something had gone very, very wrong. All personnel, this is Director Velther. We have experienced a power fluctuation in the primary containment grid. Remain calm and proceed to your nearest evacuation assembly point. This is not a drill. Hyunwoo's stomach dropped. Power fluctuation in the containment grid meant force fields were failing. And if force fields were failing, creatures could escape. He ran toward the evacuation point, joining a stream of panicked aliens rushing through the corridors. Everyone was pushing and shoving. Someone's tentacle slapped him in the face. He kept moving, then the second announcement came. Director Velther's voice was no longer calm. Emergency Protocol 7. The Krathker has breached containment. All personnel evacuate immediately. Security teams deploy lethal measures. This is not a drill. I repeat, the Krathker has escaped. The panic became chaos. Aliens were screaming in languages Hyunwoo's translator couldn't keep up with. Someone knocked him sideways into a wall. He got back up and kept running. He could see the evacuation point ahead. A large airlock where emergency pods waited to carry people away from the facility. Daeho was there, waving people through. Hurry, move! Get to the pods. Hanwoo was 10 meters away when he heard the grinding sound of metal on metal. A blast door was dropping from the ceiling, right between him and the evacuation point. He sprinted, but he wasn't fast enough. The door slammed down with a boom that made his ears ring. He was on the wrong side. Daeho! He shouted, pounding on the metal. Open it! I can't! Daeho's voice came through a speaker. The system is in automatic lockdown. It's sealing off sections to contain the creature. Hyunwoo, you need to find another way out. Where? There's an auxiliary exit in Section 7. 2 corridors down, turn left, follow the green lights. Go now, Hyunwoo ran. The corridor was empty now. Everyone else had made it to the evacuation point. It was just him, alone in the sealed section with whatever had escaped. The lights were still flashing red. The alarms were still blaring. And underneath those sounds, he heard something else. Something moving through the air vents above his head. The scrape of claws on metal. Heavy breathing that sounded like a diesel engine. He forced himself not to run faster. Running made you pray. His grandmother had taught him that when dealing with the aggressive dogs, stay calm, move with purpose. Don't show fear. He turned left at the junction, following the green lights. The corridor here was darker. Half the lights had failed during the power fluctuation. Shadows stretched and moved in ways that made his heart race. Director Velther's voice came through the speakers again. Security teams have failed to establish a perimeter. The Krathgor has entered the service tunnel network. We are implementing Protocol 9. All sealed sections will be vented to space in 3 hours. Any personnel trapped in those sections must find emergency shelters or reach an auxiliary exit immediately. 3 hours. Haiyan Wu had 3 hours to get out, or he would be sucked out into the vacuum of space along with everything else in this section. He started running again. The service tunnels were a maze. Haiyan Wu had only studied the main corridors during his orientation. Down here, everything looked the same. Pipes ran along the walls and ceiling. Steam leaked from joints. The temperature was hot and uncomfortable. He checked his facility map on his communication device. The auxiliary exit was still 2 sections away. He could make it. He had time. Then his device crackled with static. Yuan's voice came through, tense and clipped. All channels, be advised. The Krathgar is no longer in the service tunnels. It has entered the main facility. Last known position is Section 12. Haiyan Wu looked at his map. He was in Section 11. Section 12 was the next one over. The creature was close. He found a maintenance closet and slipped inside, closing the door quietly behind him. His hands were shaking. He tried to control his breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Stay calm. Think. Maybe he should just hide here until the 3 hours were up. Maybe there was an emergency shelter nearby? He checked his map again. The closest shelter was back the way he had come, on the other side of a blast door that had sealed shut. No shelter. No way back. The only way was forward, toward the auxiliary exit. Toward Section 12, toward where the Krathgar was hunting. Haiyan Wu closed his eyes and thought about home. About his grandmother's farm in the mountains of Korea. About the old dog they had rescued. The one everyone said was too dangerous to save. It had bitten 3 people before they got it. Animal control wanted to put it down. But his grandmother had seen something in its eyes. Fear, not malice. She had spent weeks working with that dog. Moving slowly. Speaking softly. Never pushing, never forcing. And eventually the dog had learned to trust. It had become the gentlest animal on the farm, loyal until its last day. Every animal just wants to feel safe, his grandmother had told him. Even the dangerous ones. Especially the dangerous ones. Haiyan Wu opened his eyes. He couldn't stay here. He had to move. He cracked the door open and peered out. The corridor was empty. He slipped out and continued toward the auxiliary exit, moving as quietly as he could. The sounds of the creature grew louder. Not from the vents anymore. From somewhere ahead. From Section 12. He could hear it breathing, could hear the click of its claws on the metal floor. And something else. A low sound, almost like a whimper. Was it hurt? Haiyan Wu shook his head. It didn't matter. Hurt or not, the Krathgar had killed 3 people. He needed to focus on survival, not on trying to understand a creature that could tear him apart without effort. He reached the entrance to Section 12. The door was open, the force field disabled. Beyond it, he could see the environmental control room. That was where the auxiliary exit was supposed to be. So close, he took a step forward. Then froze. In the darkness of Section 12, 2 eyes reflected the red emergency lights. They were large and golden, with vertical pupils. They stared directly at him. The Krathgar had found him, or maybe he had found it. Haiyan Wu's mind went blank with terror. Every instinct screamed at him to run. But he couldn't move. His legs wouldn't work. All he could do was stand there and watch as the galaxy's most dangerous creature stepped out of the shadows and into the light. It was even bigger than he had imagined. Its 6 legs moved with fluid grace. Its armored plating was deep black with patterns that seemed to shift in the flickering lights. Venomous spines ran along its back, raised and ready. And its eyes never left his face. The Krathgar opened its mouth, revealing rows of teeth designed to tear through metal and bone. It made a sound deep in its throat. Not quite a growl. Not quite a roar. Something in between. Haiyan Wu knew he was going to die. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The creature would kill him just like it had killed the others, but then something strange happened. The Krathgar didn't attack. It just stood there, watching him, waiting. Hyunwoo's grandmother's words echoed in his mind. Every animal just wants to feel safe, maybe even this one. Time seemed to stop. Hyunwoo stood in the doorway of Section 12, and the Krathker stood 10 meters away in the darkness. Neither of them moved. The only sound was the blaring alarm and the creature's heavy breathing. Hyunwoo forced himself to think past his fear. The Krathker could have attacked already. It was fast enough. The report said it could move faster than cameras could track. But it hadn't. It was just standing there, its golden eyes locked on him. Why? He studied the creature more carefully. Its spines were raised, yes. That was supposed to be a sign of aggression. But its body language told a different story. Its 6 legs were spread wide, but not in a hunting crouch. In a defensive stance. Its head was low, its sensory antennae were moving rapidly, tasting the air. Hyunwoo had seen this posture before. Not on an alien predator, but on the rescue dogs at his grandmother's farm. The ones that had been abused or neglected. They would bare their teeth and raise their hackles, but it wasn't because they wanted to fight. It was because they were scared. Could the Krathker be scared? It seemed impossible. This creature was the apex predator of a death world. What could it possibly fear? But then Hyunwoo thought about the situation from the creature's perspective. The Krathker had lived in a cage for 5 years. It had only ever known force fields and robot handlers and isolation. Then suddenly its enclosure had failed. The familiar walls were gone. It was in a strange place with strange sounds and strange smells. Everything was wrong, of course. It was scared. Okay, Hyunwoo whispered, more to himself than to the creature. Okay, you're not hunting. You're confused. You're stressed. The Krathker's antennae twitched at the sound of his voice. It took a step forward. Hyunwoo's heart hammered, but he didn't move back. Moving back would trigger a chase response. He had to stay still. It's okay, he said, keeping his voice soft and low. I'm not going to hurt you. The creature tilted its head, and Hyunwoo realized it was trying to understand him. Not his words, obviously, but his tone, the sound of his voice. Animals could do that. They could sense emotion through vocal patterns. Somewhere in the facility, Juwan's voice crackled over the speakers. Security teams, maintain your positions. Do not engage unless the creature moves toward populated sections. We need to keep it contained until venting procedures begin. 2 hours and 15 minutes left. Hyunwoo glanced at the environmental control room behind the Krathker. The auxiliary exit was in there. If he could somehow get past the creature, he could escape. But the Krathker was blocking the only path. He looked back at those golden eyes and made a decision that his rational mind said was insane. Instead of trying to get past the creature, he was going to try something else. Slowly, moving like he was underwater, Hyunwoo sat down on the floor. He crossed his legs and placed his hands in his lap. He made himself small and non-threatening, the Krathker's spines lowered slightly. It was confused by this behavior. Good. Confusion was better than aggression. I'm going to tell you a story, Hyunwoo said in Korean, keeping his voice gentle. When I was 7 years old, there was a dog on our farm. It was big and mean. It had been beaten by its previous owner. My grandmother brought it home, and everyone said she was crazy. They said the dog would hurt someone. But she didn't listen. The Krathker took another step closer. Hyunwoo could see it better now in the emergency lighting. Its armored plating wasn't perfectly smooth. There were scars, old wounds that had healed badly. And on its left side, some of the plates seemed damaged, pushed inward like it had taken a hit that never properly recovered. My grandmother spent hours with that dog, Hyunwoo continued. She never raised her voice. Never used force. She just sat near it and talked. Eventually, the dog came to her. It let her touch it. And do you know what it wanted most? It wanted someone to scratch behind its ears. That was all. The creature was 5 meters away now. Hyunwoo could feel the heat radiating from its body. Could smell a scent like copper and ozone. Its breathing had changed, becoming less ragged. The defensive posture was softening. You're not a monster, Hyunwoo said. You're just tired of being alone. tired of being treated like something to fear. The Krathker's antennae extended fully, touching the air inches from Haiyan-Wu's face. He held perfectly still. This was the moment. Either the creature would accept him, or it would kill him. The antennae brushed against his cheek. They were surprisingly soft, like silk. The Krathker was analyzing him, learning his scent, his chemical composition, his emotional state. Then it did something that made Haiyan-Wu's breath catch. It lowered its massive head and made a sound. Not a growl or a roar. A soft questioning sound. Almost like a whine. Yeah, Haiyan-Wu whispered. I know. It's scary when everything changes. The creature's spines lowered completely. It took another step, and now it was right in front of him. Haiyan-Wu could see himself reflected in those golden eyes. He looked tiny and fragile compared to this being of armor and claws and teeth. He slowly raised his hand. The Krathker watched the movement with intense focus. Haiyan-Wu kept his palm open, fingers relaxed. He was offering, not demanding. The creature sniffed his hand with its antennae. Then it opened its mouth. Haiyan-Wu's heart stopped. Those teeth could bite through his arm like it was made of paper, but the Krathker didn't bite. It just touched his hand gently with its teeth in what might have been a warning or a test. Haiyan-Wu didn't pull away. It's okay. I trust you. The Krathker closed its mouth. Its antennae moved across his hand, his arm, his shoulder. It was still analyzing, still trying to understand what this strange, soft creature was, and why it wasn't afraid. Haiyan-Wu noticed something during this inspection. When the Krathker moved, it favored its left side, the side where the armor was damaged. It was hurting. You're in pain, aren't you? Haiyan-Wu said softly. That old injury. It never healed right. He looked at the damaged plating more carefully. The edges were rough, probably irritating the softer tissue underneath, and the Krathker couldn't reach it with its own limbs. The anatomy was wrong. It had probably been itching and aching for years with no way to get relief. Haiyan-Wu had an idea. It was risky, but everything about this situation was risky. He slowly moved his hand toward the creature's side. The Krathker tensed, its spine starting to rise again. It's okay, Haiyan-Wu said. I just want to help. He touched the armor near the damaged area. The Krathker flinched but didn't pull away. Haiyan-Wu gently scratched around the rough edges where the plates met. He could feel the creature's muscles quivering under his fingers. Then something amazing happened. The Krathker relaxed. Its entire body seemed to melt. It shifted its weight, pushing slightly into Haiyan-Wu's hand. You like that, don't you? Haiyan-Wu smiled despite his fear. Nobody's ever done this for you. He scratched more firmly, working his fingers around the damaged plating. The Krathker made a sound that was almost a purr, deep and rumbling. It was the sound of pure relief. In the facility's security center, Jiwan was watching through the cameras with Director Velther and a dozen other staff members. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. Is that human insane? Someone whispered. He's touching it, another said. He's actually touching the Krathker. Director Velther's mandibles clicked rapidly. This is impossible. The creature should have killed him already. Jiwan stared at the screen. Humans are from a death world, she said slowly. Perhaps they understand death world creatures in ways we cannot. Back in Section 12, Haiyan-Wu continued scratching around the damaged armor. The Krathker had shifted its position, now lying partially on its side. It was exposing its ventral plates, its belly, the most vulnerable part of any creature. Haiyan-Wu understood what this meant. It was a display of complete trust. The Krathker was telling him that it didn't see him as a threat, that it accepted him. He moved his scratching to the belly plates, and the creature's purring grew louder. Its eyes were half closed in contentment. Its 6 legs were relaxed, no longer tense and ready to spring. See? Haiyan-Wu said, his own tension finally easing. All you needed was a little kindness. Director Velther's voice came over the speakers. Haiyan-Wu, can you hear me? Yes, sir, Haiyan-Wu said, not stopping his scratching. What are you doing? I'm scratching its belly, sir. There was a long silence. Then, why is it letting you do that? Because it's not a monster. It's just an animal that nobody understood. Hyan-Wu looked at the Krathkar's peaceful face. It's been in pain for years, isolated, treated with fear and violence. All it wanted was for someone to help it, to be kind to it. Another silence. Then Jiwan's voice. Can you keep it calm? I think so. As long as I don't do anything threatening. We have 1 hour and 45 minutes until venting procedures begin. Is there any way you can guide it back to its enclosure? Hyan-Wu looked at the Krathkar, Critty. The creature trusted him now, but trust was fragile. One wrong move could break it. But if he didn't try, they would both die when the section vented. I'll try, he said. He had no idea if this would work. But he had to try. Hyan-Wu sat with the Krathkar for another 10 minutes, just scratching its belly and talking softly in Korean. He needed the creature to be completely calm before he tried to move. Rushing would ruin everything. The Krathkar's purring was steady now, like the rumble of distant thunder. Its eyes were fully closed. One of its 6 legs twitched occasionally in a way that reminded Hyan-Wu of a sleeping dog dreaming. It was almost cute, which was a strange thing to think about a creature that could kill him in seconds. Through his communication device, he could hear the staff talking in hushed voices. They were watching through cameras, witnessing something that shouldn't be possible. A human intern sitting on the floor with the galaxy's most dangerous predator, treating it like a pet. All stations, Director Velther said. The human appears to have established rapport with the Krathkar. We are adjusting plans. Security teams, stand down but remain ready. We will attempt to guide both the human and the creature back to the containment area. Yuan's voice cut in. What if it attacks? What if the human's control breaks? Then we proceed with original protocols, Velther said grimly. But for now, we give them a chance. Hyan-Wu took a deep breath. 1 hour and 30 minutes until venting. He needed to start moving. He slowly stopped scratching and placed his hand flat on the Krathkar's belly. The creature's eyes opened halfway, looking at him with a sleepy, content expression. Hey, Hyan-Wu said softly. We need to go back to your home. Your real home. The place that's safe. The Krathkar didn't move. It probably didn't understand the words, but it could sense the change in tone. The relaxation time was ending. Something was about to happen. Hyan-Wu slowly stood up. The creature watched him, but didn't tense. Good. He took a step back. The Krathkar rolled onto its belly, standing up on all 6 legs. It was enormous when standing. Its head was level with Hyan-Wu's chest. Come on, Hyan-Wu said, gesturing toward the door. Let's go home. The Krathkar tilted its head, antennae waving. It looked at the door, then back at Hyan-Wu. It didn't move. Hyan-Wu thought for a moment. The creature had followed him this far by trusting him. Maybe it would follow him further. He turned and walked slowly toward the door. After a few steps, he looked back. The Krathkar was following him. Relief flooded through Hyan-Wu's body. Good. That's good. Just stay with me. They walked through the doorway into Section 11. The corridor stretched ahead, empty and silent except for the alarm. Hyan-Wu kept his pace slow and steady. The Krathkar stayed close behind him, its claws clicking softly on the metal floor. Every few steps, Hyan-Wu would stop and scratch the creature's side. Just a reminder that he was safe, that this was okay. The Krathkar would lean into the scratching, purring, before they continued walking. Unbelievable, someone whispered over the speakers. He's walking it like a pet? Silence on the channel, Velther ordered. Hyan-Wu, you are doing well. Continue on your current path. We are opening doors ahead of you. They passed through Section 11 and into Section 10. The facility was completely empty. Everyone had evacuated. It was just Hyan-Wu, the Krathkar, and the watching cameras. The Krathkar stopped suddenly, its antennae pointing toward a side corridor. It made a low sound, almost questioning. No, Hyan-Wu said gently. Not that way. This way. He scratched its side again. Trust me. The creature looked at the side corridor for another moment, then back at Hyan-Wu. It huffed, a sound that might have been resignation, and continued following him. They were halfway to the containment area when the Krathker stopped again. This time it sat down, all 6 legs folding under its body. It looked tired. Hyun-woo knelt beside it. I know, you're exhausted. This is scary for you. He scratched around the damaged armor, and the creature leaned into his touch. But we're almost there. Just a little further? The Krathker's eyes were sad. Not in a human way, but in a way Hyun-woo recognized from working with animals. It knew it was going back to the cage, back to isolation and loneliness. I'm sorry, Hyun-woo said quietly. I wish it could be different. I wish you could be free. He meant it. This creature deserved better than living alone in a sterile habitat with no one who understood it. But what choice did they have? The Krathker was dangerous. It had killed before. It could kill again? The protocols existed for a reason, but maybe the protocols were wrong. Maybe they had created the very danger they were trying to prevent. The Krathker stood up again, and they continued walking. Hyun-woo's mind was racing. There had to be a better way. The facility had thousands of creatures living in fear and isolation. What if they could change that? What if they could teach the staff to understand animals instead of just containing them? They reached the maximum security section, the massive blast door with the warning symbols. It was open now, waiting for them. Beyond it, Hyun-woo could see the Krathker's enclosure. The force fields were down, creating a clear path inside. The Krathker saw it too. It stopped at the doorway, looking into the enclosure. Its spine started to rise. It didn't want to go back inside? I know, Hyun-woo said. I know you don't want to. But it's safe in there. And I promise, things are going to change. I'm going to make sure of it. The creature looked at him with those golden eyes. It made a sound, soft and sad. Hyun-woo felt his throat tighten. He reached up and scratched the side of the Krathker's head, a place it couldn't reach on its own. The creature leaned into the touch, purring. You're a good animal, Hyun-woo whispered. You deserve better than what you got. But I'm going to help you. I promise. He walked into the enclosure and the Krathker followed. They stood together in the center of the habitat. It was a large space with artificial rocks and a small pool of water. But it was empty of life except for the creature. No companionship, no enrichment. Just existence. The Krathker lay down and Hyun-woo sat beside it. He gave it a final, long belly scratch. The creature's purring was so loud it vibrated through the floor. Its eyes closed in contentment. Director, Hyun-woo said into his communicator, I'm going to step out now. Bring the force fields back up slowly. Don't startle it. Understood, Veltha replied. Hyun-woo stood and walked toward the entrance. The Krathker watched him go but didn't follow. It just lay there, purring, looking more peaceful than it probably had in years. Hyun-woo stepped through the entrance. The force fields activated with a soft hum, creating an invisible barrier between him and the creature. The Krathker stood up and walked to the barrier, pressing its face against it. Its antennae reached through the field, still able to sense Hyun-woo on the other side. I'll come back, Hyun-woo said. I'll visit you. You won't be alone anymore. The Krathker made that questioning sound again. Then it turned and walked to the back of its enclosure, curling up in a corner that Hyun-woo suddenly realized was the spot closest to where staff would walk by. It had been trying to be near people all along. It had just never known how to ask. Director Velther's voice came through the speakers, addressing the whole facility. All clear. The Krathker has been returned to containment. Crisis is over. All personnel may return to their stations. Hyun-woo heard cheering through the walls. The staff was celebrating. They had survived. The dangerous creature was back in its cage. Everything could return to normal. But Hyun-woo knew normal wasn't good enough. Not anymore. He turned to find Ji-won standing in the corridor, watching him. The security chief's expression was unreadable. That was the bravest thing I have ever seen, Ji-won said. Or the most foolish. I have not decided which. Maybe both, Hyun-woo said. How did you know it would not kill you? Hyun-woo looked back at the Krathker, now sleeping peacefully in its enclosure. I didn't, but I knew that if I treated it with fear, it would respond with fear. Violence creates violence. But kindness. He smiled. Kindness creates trust. Yuan was quiet for a long moment. Humans are strange creatures. Yeah, Haiyan Wu agreed. We really are. Director Velther appeared, his forearms gesturing in what might have been relief or exasperation. Haiyan Wu, you violated approximately 47 protocols. You put yourself in extreme danger. You did exactly what I ordered you not to do. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. And you saved the facility from having to execute its most valuable specimen. You prevented a tragedy. You did something no one else could have done. Velther's mandibles clicked. I do not know whether to terminate your internship or promote you. I have a suggestion, sir, Haiyan Wu said. Don't do either. Just let me help. Let me work with the creatures that others think are too dangerous. Let me try to make their lives better. Velther looked at the sleeping Krathker, then back at Haiyan Wu. We will discuss this tomorrow. For now, go rest. You have had a difficult day. As Haiyan Wu walked back to his quarters, he felt different. He had come to this facility expecting to learn about alien creatures. Instead, he had learned something more important. Every creature, no matter how dangerous, just wanted to be understood. And sometimes all it took to understand them was the willingness to try. Han Wu didn't sleep well that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the Krathker pressing its face against the force field, trying to reach him. He had promised to come back, but he didn't know if Director Velther would allow it. For all he knew, he would be on a transport back to Earth by tomorrow at dawn cycle. A message appeared on his communication device. Report to Director Velther's office immediately. This was it. Han Wu put on his uniform and walked through the facility. Aliens stopped to stare at him as he passed. Some looked at him with respect, others with fear. Word had spread about what he had done. The human who had walked with death and survived, Director Velther's office, was at the top of the central hub, with windows looking out at the stars. The director sat behind a curved desk, his forearms folded. Jiwon stood to one side, and to Haiyan Wu's surprise, Dr. Minji's face appeared on a holographic screen. Haiyan Wu, Dr. Minji said, her voice filled with emotion. I watched the footage. I was so scared for you, but also so proud. You did exactly what I taught you. You taught him to violate safety protocols? Velther asked dryly. I taught him to understand animals, Dr. Minji replied. To see beyond fear? Apparently he learned the lesson well. Velther turned to Haiyan Wu. Sit, we have much to discuss. Haiyan Wu sat in a chair that was designed for a completely different body shape. He tried to look calm, but his heart was racing. The Galactic Council has been informed of yesterday's incident, Velther began. They reviewed the footage. They want to know how a human intern succeeded where our best handlers failed. I told them I did not have an answer. I can explain, sir, Haiyan Wu said. Please do, Haiyan Wu took a breath. The previous handlers approached the Krathker with fear. They used tranquilizers, electric prods, sonic weapons. They treated it like an enemy to be controlled. But the Krathker isn't an enemy. It's an intelligent creature that responds to emotion. When you show it fear and violence, it returns fear and violence. When you show it calm and kindness, it returns calm and kindness. You make it sound simple, Jiwon said. But 3 people died. Because they didn't understand, Haiyan Wu said. I'm not saying I'm smarter than them or braver. I just had different training. On Earth, humans have lived alongside dangerous animals for thousands of years. We learned to domesticate wolves into dogs. We learned to work with horses, with big cats, with animals that could kill us easily. We developed an instinct for it. Dr. Minji nodded on the screen. Han Wu is right. Humans are unique in the galaxy for our relationship with other species. Most intelligent races evolved on worlds where they were the only apex predators or where predators were rare. Earth is different. Earth is what you call a death world. Humans survived by learning to understand danger, not just fear it. Velthar's antennae twitched. Are you suggesting that our entire approach to creature management is flawed? Yes, Hyun-woo said, then quickly added, sir. With respect. There was a long silence. Then Velthar made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are honest. I appreciate that. Tell me, what would you change? Hyun-woo hadn't expected that question. He thought for a moment. The Krathker is intelligent. It needs enrichment. It needs social interaction. Right now, it lives in an empty habitat with no stimulation. That's not conservation, that's torture. If you want it to thrive, you need to treat it like a thinking being, not a specimen. And how do you propose we do that safely? I could work with it, Hyun-woo said. Visit it regularly. Provide enrichment. Build trust. Eventually, maybe we could train it to cooperate with medical exams and habitat maintenance without needing force. Ji-won shook her head. You barely survived one encounter. You want to repeat it daily? I didn't barely survive, Hyun-woo said. Once I understood what it needed, we were fine. The danger only exists when you approach with the wrong mindset. Velthar was quiet for a long moment. Dr. Minji, what is your professional opinion? I think Hyun-woo can do this, she said. But I also think he shouldn't do it alone. This is an opportunity to change how the whole galaxy thinks about creature management. Let him train others. Let him share his knowledge. An interesting idea, Velthar said. He turned to Hyun-woo. How would you like a new position? Handler of difficult species. You would work with creatures that our current staff cannot manage. You would also develop training programs to teach others your methods. Hyun-woo's eyes widened. You're not sending me home? Why would I send home the only person who can handle our most valuable specimen? Velthar's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. You are far too useful. Assuming you accept the position, yes. Hyun-woo said immediately. Yes, I accept. Good, you start tomorrow. Ji-won will work with you on safety protocols. Real ones, not the fear-based ones we have been using. Ji-won looked unhappy but nodded. I will keep him alive somehow. After the meeting, Hyun-woo went straight to the Krathker's enclosure. He half expected it to be sleeping or ignoring him. Instead, the creature was pressed against the force field, waiting. Its antennae reached through the barrier the moment it sensed him. Hey, Hyun-woo said softly. I came back. Just like I promised. The Krathker made that soft, questioning sound. It was almost like a greeting. I'm going to visit you every day now, Hyun-woo said. And we're going to make your life better. I promise. He spent an hour just sitting by the force field, talking to the creature. The Krathker lay down on its side so its belly was facing him. It couldn't feel the scratching through the barrier, but it seemed to understand the intention. The gesture was enough. Word spread quickly through the facility about Hyun-woo's new position. Over the next week, something unexpected happened. Other staff members started asking questions. How did he stay calm? How did he read the creature's body language? How did he know what it needed? Hyun-woo started giving informal lessons. He took small groups to observe the Krathker, teaching them to see beyond their fear. He showed them how the creature's spines weren't always a threat display, how its sounds had different meanings, how it had a personality and preferences and moods. One day, an alien intern named Taeyang asked to study under him. Taeyang was from a water world where predators were rare. He was terrified of everything dangerous. But he wanted to learn why. Hyun-woo asked. You could stay in the safe sections? Because you make it look easy, Taeyang said. And I want to understand how. I want to be brave like humans. Hyun-woo laughed. Humans aren't brave. We're just used to danger. But I can teach you to understand it. Understanding is better than bravery. He started taking Taeyang with him to the Krathker's enclosure. The first few visits, Taeyang stood far back, shaking. But gradually he relaxed. He started to see what Hyun-woo saw. Not a monster, but an animal with needs and emotions. It's purring, Taeyang said one day, amazed. I can hear it through the force field. Because it's happy, Hyun-woo said. See, not so scary. Director Velther watched these changes with interest. The facility's atmosphere was shifting. Staff members were less fearful. They approached their work with curiosity instead of dread. Incident reports decreased. Even the difficult creatures became calmer when handlers stopped projecting fear. 3 months after the incident, Velther called another meeting. This time, representatives from other conservation facilities were present via hologram. They had heard about the humans' methods and wanted to learn. "Tell us," one representative said. "How do you control dangerous creatures without force?" "I don't control them," Haiyan Wu said. "Control implies dominance. I work with them. I try to understand what they need and provide it. Trust is better than control." "But the Krathker killed 3 handlers," another representative said. "How can you trust something so dangerous?" "Because danger and evil are not the same thing," Haiyan Wu explained. "The Krathker is dangerous, yes. It has claws and teeth and venom, but it's not evil. It doesn't want to hurt people. It just wants to live without pain or fear. When we gave it that, the danger disappeared." The representatives were skeptical. Haiyan Wu could see it in their body language, in the way they looked at each other. They thought he was naive or lucky or both. "I can prove it," he said. "Give me permission to enter the Krathker S enclosure." "Let me show you." Velther S antennae shot up. "That is extremely risky, but necessary," Haiyan Wu said. "If we want to change how the galaxy treats these creatures, we need to show that a better way exists." After much debate, they agreed. The entire facility gathered to watch through cameras and observation windows. Tiang stood at the front, looking terrified for his teacher. Haiyan Wu stood at the entrance to the enclosure. The force field deactivated. He stepped inside. The Krathker had been sleeping in its corner. It stood up when it sensed him, walking over on its 6 legs. Its golden eyes were bright with recognition. "Hey, friend," Haiyan Wu said. "I brought you something." He pulled out a grooming tool he had designed specifically for the creature. It had soft bristles on one side and firmer ones on the other. He had tested it through the force field, and the Krathker had loved it. He knelt down and began grooming the creature's side, working around the damaged armor plates. The Krathker's purring filled the enclosure. It rolled onto its side, then its back, exposing its belly. Haiyan Wu scratched and groomed, and the creature made sounds of pure contentment.